Rebel with a cause. BK all day, baby. It's Rebel season. The real rebels are back. I got the mind of a king. You should really protect them. Everybody talking, but Rebel really the next. I got the mind of a king. Spread to never take this. Slavery, fake hip hop, you dead if you were racist. I got the mind of a king. You could never replace this. Blood from the mud, no love, so I'ma say I got the mind of a king. I know where I am from now. I'ma wake 'em up, you keep 'em sleep, it's up to me. I got the mind of a king. Yeah, we back. Welcome to Rebels Roundtable. I'm your host, Rebel with a Cause. And we got a special guest tonight, brother RJ. You know what I mean? Author. He about to bring his book back to us. You know, he was on like the third show, I think. So he about to bring it back to us, and it's ready. So we about to get it popping. TYEHIMBA, man. RJ TYEHIMBA. Holla at him. Yeah. Welcome to Rebels Roundtable. I'm your host, Rebel with a Cause. We got a special guest in the house. You already know who the brother is. You've seen him before. RJ TYEHIMBA. He about to break down his new book for us. And let's sit back, relax, and catch contact.
Peace. Brother Rebel in the building. Rebel Vision Television. Shout out to my brothers and sisters, to the Atlanta family, the Black Nationalist Pan-Africanist family. Thank you, brother, for having me on. So family, what I'm going to do is probably go back and forth with kind of a PowerPoint so that I got y'all a little visual as I go through certain things. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share the screen with everyone. And I guess while I'm...
Oh, nah, it's Black History Month. If you're watching this, go read a black book, but you got it.
For sure. And also, we can actually talk a little bit about that as well. Give me 1 second. All right. All right, family. So once again, thank you for having me on the platform, Brother Rebel. I wrote a new book. This is my 5th book, family, and I'm very... I don't know if the word excited is appropriate. I feel good about it because I think it's really needed. You can see I have a little quick agenda. We'll probably get through most of it. But basically why I wrote the book was I was sitting on all these panel discussions. You know, this is throughout the last 7 years. All these panel discussions. I'm going to events in the community. I'm hearing different people speak. I'm observing how different organizations are moving. And being honest with you, we have a lot of people doing some real solid work all over the country. All over the country, grassroots level. You know, however, I noticed there was great confusion, like around what is leadership. You know, what is leadership supposed to do? What are some of the qualities we should see in our leaders? What are some of the things we should be including in our meetings and our organizations? You know, a lot of different things. So I said, you know, I need to address that. And rather than address it on my live broadcast and all that stuff, which, you know, those things come and go, I said, let me put this in a book form that will have a sense of permanence, you know? So basically, I want to eliminate confusion about leadership. I want to define, provide a better understanding of what leadership is, what it does, and how it does it. So that's why the title is Leadership, Philosophy, Ethics, and Practice, because I deal with leadership theory. Then we get into how's a leader supposed to move, right? And then we get into giving even some tips and suggestions for things that, thank you very much, for things that people need to do in the organization. So for instance, how to vet people. How do we vet members of our organization? How do we vet officers for our organization? You know, what type of protocols do we need to have in our organizations? Stuff like that. So it's the theory combined with the ethics, how we do what we do, and why we do what we do, and then showing people how to do what we should be doing. That's really what it's about. You know, I also know there's a lot of people that's in leadership, people that aspire to be in leadership, that would like guidance, that would like some sense of how do I move. I'm just starting out in leadership. What are some basic things I should know? And if I can be honest, man, as y'all see there, also says to expose fraudulent and compromised leadership. So the other thing is that you have to know not only what leadership is, but what leadership isn't. So that's why the first chapter is called Leadership Is, Leadership Ain't. It's setting the tone. You know, so people thinking that I'm going to get in leadership so I could tell people what to do. Nah, man, that's not what it's about. Or I could have a title on my desk with the big, you know, a paper holder, my name and my title. And no, that's not what it's about. No, you didn't get enough hugs and kisses when you was young. Leadership ain't the way you get accolades, and that's something else you gotta do. That's therapy, right? Or you want to be noticed, okay, then that's not leadership, that's entertainment. So there's people that's in the wrong fields because they're seeking something, but that's not what leadership is for. None of that is what leadership is about. So that's pretty much why I wrote the book. And stop me anytime, Brother Rebel. So you know that you want to jump in.
Got the stage. We 10 toes learning.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Some of the something I wanted to add is that I define leadership here because all types of people serve in leadership roles. Some people may not know it, right? But I define leadership as the process or the act of determining goals and effectively organizing people, ideas, and resources to achieve those goals. So right there off the bat, if you're not dealing with other people, you're not in leadership. Fair enough?
Facts.
You have to be working with a population of people. Now, that population could be as small as the people in your home. It could be the people in your classroom. It could be the people at your tennis association, your block association. It could be people of a national or even international organization. But you have to be dealing with some type of constituency or group. You have to be helping them to identify goals, to identify problems that need to be solved, maybe giving voice to those problems and those goals. And you have to be organizing those people, taking ideas and organizing resources, money, votes, bodies in a meeting, whatever, to achieve those goals. If those things aren't being done, then something's going on there, but it's not leadership. I hate to say it like that, but that's true. That's real talk. All right. And okay, let me skip to the other. Now, what I'm proud about, Brother Rebel, is that I sent this draft copy of this book out to 5 different organizers and activists, brothers and sisters that are putting in serious work and have done so for decades. These are people who are credible, they're competent, they're conscious, who I deeply respect. You know, and this is what some of them said. Sister Dequi Keone Siddiqui, who is the stuff of legend. First of all, the sister worked with the Malcolm X Commemoration Committee. The sister's with the New Jericho organization, fighting for our political prisoners to get them out. Nice. And she was on the Sekou Odinga, Free Sekou Odinga campaign. Now, Sekou Odinga, for those who don't know, is one of the soldiers. He was in the Black Panther Party. He was in the OAU. Then he was in the Black Panther Party. Then the brother went underground and was with the Black Liberation Army. He is one of the brothers responsible for liberating Assata Shakur. Okay? So this brother here is, to say legendary in our movement, is like beyond that, right? Never told on nobody, never gave no information, did his time, unfortunately, 30, 40 years. So this sister Daquis starts this campaign to free him, marries him while he's incarcerated, and actually, because of her organizing, helps to get that man released. That's what I call a revolutionary black love story.
Black woman is God.
I gotta give her sister some shout outs. So what she says is, as y'all can see on the screen here, with this organizing tool, TYEHIMBA offers a simple, direct, common sense approach that can potentially disrupt the naivete, practices, patterns, mistakes, pitfalls, and machinations that led past movements, organizers, and organizations to fall by the wayside or be defeated by the U.S. government. Coming from her, that means a lot. She's letting me know that I'm at least on the right track what I'm trying to do with the book. Because I am trying to prevent us from losing, bro. If I could sum it up in a book, I want to teach us to win and teach us how to stop losing. You know, I played football coming up. You know, sandlot football, church team, high school team, and I was a captain. And I hated to lose. I gave my all, and I hated to lose. And when I would show up at the practice, I see people before, I said, yo, what you here to do? I'm here for practice. I said, no, bro, we here to win. We are here to win. Don't ever forget that, because people can get to a place and forget what they're there for. And once you forget what you're there for, you're lost. Right?
That's deep.
That is what it is. So then my good brother Yusef Munchi Shakur, shout out to him, condolences to his family. He just lost his mother in the physical realm. She's now an ancestor. So shout out to our brother Yusef. Yusef is in Detroit. Daquis is, by the way, in New York. Yusef's in Detroit. This is a brother who was not only a gang member, but started his own gang in Detroit back in the day, and was wreaking havoc on the community. Community predator. Gets locked up. When he gets locked up, he's reunited with his father. Wow. His father, in all the time he was locked up, has become revolutionary. So his father's bringing him with other old elders that are revolutionary activists and philosophers, and they school Yusef. He comes out of jail. He hits the ground running. He goes from community predator to a community power agent, right? And one of the latest things he does is he's with the Mama Akua Community House organization. He's an author. This brother has taken old houses in Detroit, renovated them, and made them community centers for the youth. He's doing just really remarkable work when you consider his beginnings. He reminds me of a modern-day Malcolm X, to be honest with you, type of brother. What he says is our brother TYEHIMBA is at his best when he is teaching, and his new book is a much-needed teaching tool, teaching about the grassroots organizing and leadership. You know, respect to Brother Yusef for that. And then my brother, this is my longtime friend here, Brother Ishmael Bey. He's the co-founder of the Amun-Ra Squad. But I've known this brother for, man, since about 1986, man. And he's just phenomenal. He's also working, I believe, with the Afro-descendant nation, fighting to have our people recognized as, have a national formation where we're seen and operate as an actual nation. He says you get a proper analysis of identifying opposition, challenges, solutions, and even obtaining maximum results with different personalities. Get 2 of these books, one for you, the reader, and the other as a gift to someone you know can use the methodology being shared. So salute to brother Ishmael for that big sort of this is Sister Shannon. Shannon is the co-founder of a group called Why Accountability. She's in New York. And this is a black woman created, black woman led a nationalist Pan-Africanist organization. And they fight against police misconduct, brutality, being over-militarized. They bang on the police critically. Their broken windows policies, they're stopping and frisking, all of that. But they also deal with other larger issues that affect the black community. And you can see there, I'm going to start reading all these quotes for y'all because I see y'all can see them. But, you know, I'm going to sum it up. She basically It's talking about, it's like a guide for theory and practice, as I was saying earlier, and that she thinks that there's good instructions in here that's easy for people to get, and that it will help create future generations of leaders, which is absolutely why I wrote the book. And she also is very honorable to me, which I respect. She calls me one of her jegnas, and I take that to heart. That's very appreciative to her. Man, this organization, by the way, is really something. They exercise some of the things I talk about in the book. First of all, they're highly creative. So they want to criticize the New York City Police Department as being unfair and unethical with poor people, right? And black and brown people. So how do they do that? Yeah, of course they do the rallies, and of course they have the speeches, but they have this thing called the Swipe It Forward movement. So they know that black and brown people jump the turnstile. They're trying to get to somebody they love. They're trying to get to work. They're trying to get to school. And they may not have the money like that. So these police will arrest them and hit them with a $250 ticket. So the thing here is, if they didn't have the $275 for the fare, what makes you think they got $200 something for a ticket? Yeah. Unfair to poor people. So what they do is they buy a bunch of Metro cards and take donations from the community. And when they go to train stations in New York, popular places like 125th Street, places in the Bronx, Fordham Road, and all that, and they tell you who we are. They come up in the stations and they have people swiping you, just swiping black and brown people so they can go to work or go home or wherever for free. Now, people may not understand that, but what they're doing is promoting their organization. They're getting people to sign up on the spot. They're demonstrating they're in the community, boots on the ground, and they're helping people in a very basic way. So people that would normally not even know they existed now know who they are, go to their meetings. That's how they recruit people. And they're making a stance against the police and for our community. So she's an example of a sister with an organization that's doing really wonderful work, man. And now you know this brother right here. You know Walimu Baruti. This is what the brother says. I had to say I have to give this brother a shout out, first of all, to the ancestors, to the Most High, to the brothers under the weather, that he feels better, that he recovers fully, that he takes his time, not rushing back, take his time, and that he comes back better than he was. And to his wife, Sister Yah. He wrote me such a long and beautiful review, my brother. I had to just take a piece of it, but I'm going to keep that. Like, I may even frame that and put that up. It's beautiful, man. He says, this is a warrior's guide to leadership, for it well communicates what should be the standard for those who guide us in the practical visionary work our community needs by example. And then he goes on to say, whether they see themselves as fulfilling leadership roles or not, warriors should study this work. So I'm very much appreciative of that. This is giving you like a table of contents of the book. And you see on the cover on the right that I put Walimu Baruti's review, a piece of it, at the top of the book on the front cover. And you see the title, Leadership, Philosophy, Ethics, and Practice. And then you notice the collage of leaders. Now, family, any of you, and if you watch this channel, I know you appreciate history and culture and our politics and all that. You have to imagine how difficult it was figuring out what images I was going to put in this collage, because we have so many. But I was trying to represent our sisters, our queen warriors that's out here fighting, that don't take their gender and use it as an excuse not to get involved. They get involved just like any man or anyone else, right? So you'll see that I have a number of people there. You'll see Sister Nina Simone, Dr. Betty Shabazz is up in there, Queen Mother Moore is represented up in there. You got Mabel Williams, who's the wife of Brother Robert F. Williams. He wrote the book Negroes with Guns. They fled to Cuba, then they eventually lived in China, then they eventually came back to the United States. So Mabel Williams is Sirius' sister. You got Kathleen Cleaver up in there. We have Mae Mallory at the top left. Looks like she's in church. That sister was a phenomenal sister. She was rolling with Robert F. Williams and his wife when they had to flee to Cuba. She was rolling right with them. She eventually lived in Africa. She went and lived in Africa, I believe in Tanzania. But she was a heavyweight sister. We got Sister Gloria. I forget my sister's last name. Oh man, I forgot her last name. But she's the sister that Malcolm used to talk. Gloria in Baltimore. She was bringing out the guns. She started as a nonviolent civil rights, and she got more radical. Just some bad sisters. And if I move myself over here, you see I got a sister that I deeply appreciate. Sister Soldier, man, on the bottom right.
That's my girl.
Sister Soldier, man. So she's represented there. And we got Shirley Chisholm because I wanted to represent some of the elected officials. I know in the nationalist community we tend to be able to forget politics, but we can't forget politics because we're in this construct. We might as well use every tool we have as best we can. And Shirley Chisholm's motto was unbought and unbossed, and I feels that. I feels that. Those, you know, she comes out of Brooklyn. And she was actually the first sister that, I believe, the first sister that ran for president of the United States in like 72.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful sister. And you'll see a number of people there. And the reason I put those people on this book cover was because I wanted people to know who this book is for. So without me all in the book, let's say I don't mention the word black, African, New African once, you should know by that cover who this book is for, clearly. And these are not your, you got Mutulu Shakur's up in there, the great Thomas Sankara. What? I mean, these are some warriors family. Herman Ferguson. What? Do y'all know about Herman Ferguson? Those of y'all watching. The brother that is to the bottom left a little bit of Malcolm. Right to the left of Nina Simone. Herman Ferguson, Barbara Herman Ferguson. Rest in power forever to that brother. He was a young brother, intoxicated by Malcolm's philosophy and words like so many people. He joined the OAAU. One of his right-hand men, he created the OAU's Liberation School. We take the concept directly from Barbara Herman Ferguson. Harlem Liberation School, right? And he eventually was accused of some type of plot to kill somebody. The FBI is looking for him. He and his wife fled to Guyana. Stayed in Guyana for like 20 years. And while he's in Guyana, he's weaponing up and fighting on behalf of the People's Army, man. Like this stuff is real history, fam. You gotta know that history. We got some, when I tell you some warriors that come from our people, man. So he's a so-called American citizen, flees America. He don't go there and just chill, hide out. He's there doing work for the Guyanese people. Comes back, turns himself in 20-something years later. He's an older man. I think he does a few years and he goes back, lives his life with his wife, goes around speaking. There's so many beautiful Amilcar Cabral, right to the left of Shirley Chisholm. It's just, I mean, took this idea of socialism with the idea of a nationalism, with the idea of Pan-Africanism, and was phenomenal. Phenomenal. And he was like a Walter Rodney, Maurice Bishop. These are people who were, this guy, highly intelligent, like could teaching in college type, but also was strapping up and fighting the revolution. I think this was against, I want to say, Portugal, I think this was against the Portuguese.
I think so.
And he started liberation schools as well. He understood that to get people in a fight ready and nation building ready, you got to teach them things that they may not know or be aware of. So he had these little kind of like political education camps, and he's schooling people, getting the people ready. Brilliant brother. Of course, he was assassinated. I probably didn't need to say that, but yeah, he was assassinated. Like so many other. And Thomas Sankara, and then I'm going to move on very quickly, on that cover with the red beret. This brother's country was called Upper Volta, right? By the French. He took over, or the people took over, won their revolution for independence, and renames the country Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso means the land of upright people, or the land of uncorruptible people. This brother immediately changes the laws. Women are going to school. Their pay is increased. He makes it mandatory that if you work for the government, you wear clothes made by the people in your country, Burkina Faso. Right? He accepts no foreign aid, because he said whoever feeds you leads you. Hello. Right? So he accepted no foreign aid, and he would go to the United Nations conferences and plead with the other African countries. He would say, we got to stop accepting their aid. We are rich enough, we don't need them. Every time you accept their aid packages, you become a pawn for them. Right? So this brother was phenomenal. When they went in his house, brother, all he had was 3 bicycles and about 2 guitars and basic furniture. So in other words, he wasn't in leadership to G off. And that's one of the ethical pieces we talk about in the book. It's not about you G'ing off. He wasn't about being flashy and flamboyant. He was about the people, right? So he planted trees. He brought back the farming. He brought back national pride. And of course, he was killed by his best friend. This is how it usually happens. All right? So just a little background now. Let's get back to what I'm really supposed to be talking about, family, but I just couldn't resist. If you look at the table of contents, you get a sense of where we're going. Leadership is, leadership ain't. You know what that's about. A leader versus an organizer, because the two do similar work, but they are very much different. And we need both types. You know, the leader is more up front, focused on specific issues. The organizer is more in the back, does that gradual, consistent, year in, year out work. May not as sexy or glamorous as the leader, but if they didn't exist, there would be no leadership. They're the ones that get to grab the people ready. They're the ones that's getting people signing petitions, knocking on doors, making phone calls, having those weekly meetings, sending out those newsletters, teaching people how to organize, raising their self-esteem, so that when these people join organizations, they help to make those organizations powerful. So I kind of break down the difference, because some people may not appreciate their worth because they may not have been in situations where people supported them. So they may have been a leader all their lives, and no one ever said, hey, you know, there's a regular parent in the school that doesn't have a position, but the parent cooks, brings food to the PTA, calls other parents, no position, no money, just does it. That she's a leader, or he's a leader. We also get into, oh my God, you should see the fish that my baby girl just put on this plate. Now, why are you going to do that to me, girl? But anyway, we got the thinking of a leader. This is so important. And by the way, I want you to notice that Leadership is, Leadership ain't is 25-page chapter off the top, because that's where the confusion is. And I'm very clear, and I know I probably made enemies behind this, bro, but I'm not budging. I'm holding the line. As my Jegna, Dr. Khalid Muhammad say, I'm holding the line, damn it. Somebody got to hold the line. And this is very important, because we have people in leadership that really should be on MTV, BET, Tyler Perry movies, or on the play, because that's what they're into. And you know what? That's all right, because they can contribute there. We got people that's in other spots that need to be in leadership and don't know it. They got all those beautiful attributes that would be perfect for leadership, but there's nobody there to say, hey, organize yourself better. Look at this, read this, get familiar with that, check out this, to get them to see themselves as leaders. Because leadership has gotten a bad stigma, because there's so many rotten leaders. If we can be honest. I mean, I'm not going to get up here and name names, but a leader should at least try their best to keep their word. A leader should not steal from people. If a leadership is accepting things from people, they should produce receipts. They should show people, you gave me this is what I did with it. That's just integrity.
Yes, sir.
Right? So bad people exist everywhere, family watching. That's not just leadership. There's bad mamas, daddies, husbands, wives, teachers. But it's just that in leadership, they're on the center stage, they're in the spotlight. So their stuff is magnified. Right? Okay. So the thinking of a leader is important, because I'm not here trying to say that leaders are better, intrinsically better, born better genes, better. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is they are different. They think differently. They don't use words like, we can't do that. They don't say, oh, that's impossible. We can't. We can never beat them. The white man got all the guns and the training and the law. Leaders don't think that way. If you got a person in an organization leading it that's talking like that, what you want to do is get them out of office immediately. Because you're not going to get anywhere with that type of person. We need to raise $1 million. The leader don't say, we can't raise no $1 million. Now, what the leader might do is say, well, we can't just say we need $1 million. We need a plan. So they'll organize to get a plan. They won't just say, we're going to defend black people. They're going to help you articulate how are you going to defend black people. They're not going to say, we can't. They're going to try to come in and show you how to do it. If your idea is way above the stratosphere, where the spaceships travel, they're going to say, hold on, good idea. Let's bring that a little bit down to earth here. Let's give that idea teeth and legs and give it muscle so it's a living thing. So it's not just this idea. So leaders will come and give a structure, and they will energize, and they will show you how, right? They will help you be clear. You know, like brother from X-Clan said, my religion is reality. Right or wrong. That's where leaders come from that. No, we could do that. The question is it worth the time, the money, the energy, and all the labor to do it? Is this something that's our priority? So yeah, I want to build a money tree with $100 bills. The leader, oh, that's, yeah. The leader's gonna say, wait. We got people here with babies who dragging their kids to the meeting, can't come to meetings because nobody can watch their kids. Let's talk about maybe we need to form a daycare, some type of babysitting thing here, so that people can come to our meetings that want to come. And somebody can watch their kids. And we could charge a little bit so those people get paid for it. Right? So the leader is always like, yeah, there's yesterday and there's tomorrow. But all we got is right now. So we're going to take yesterday to help inform what we do now. And we're going to do stuff now to help create a future we want. But we're not stuck with our heads in the African sands 80,000 years ago. And we're not stuck with our heads in a future that has not occurred yet. We're here. We're in the present. And we move like that. So I want people to see the thinking so that they can understand when I say leaders are different. It's not on some phenotype chromosome level, man. I'm not advocating elitism, but I'm saying like they think differently. You're gonna see people like this in your life, and some of you watching are people like this. But you're gonna know people in your life when everybody say, "Oh, no, we can't." This person said, "Whoa, what's the issue?" Well, nah, you need money for school. Okay, no, you ain't gotta rob nobody. You ain't gotta sell the jumbos, man. We could do another way to do that. We find another way to do that. Or you gonna kill a brother over $10? No, brother, we're not doing that. Y'all work together. Y'all can get all types of money together, and that $10 won't mean nothing. And y'all will be both alive and present for your families. If you think back across your life, you're going to think of teachers and counselors and elders in the community, even some of the street organizational people listening. You will find leadership everywhere. And I remember meeting quite a few people that Karl Marx would refer to as the lumpen proletariat. The thugs would be part of that. That people write off. And many of those brothers and sisters are have high level leadership skills. I met a brother in Mississippi that told me that he could make a call and get 10,000 people in one place within an hour. That's some serious leadership power to mobilize that many people that quickly and get them to move in one direction. They have a hierarchy of leadership. They got discipline. They got codes. They got everything. And we tend to knock them. But the original gangs thought of themselves as nations. That's interesting too. Their flag, their colors were a flag, a nation. They saw themselves as nations. And that's why you couldn't just walk through Jerome Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Or the concourse.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because we had a panel at Harlem Liberation School. We had the OGs there. We had the Black Spades, the Peacemakers. We had all these people right there. They told us, no. There was discipline. We had discipline. We protected the girls. Well, we know some did that more than others. We patrolled the neighborhoods. We protected the elders. We had toys for the kids. We made sure that our neighborhood was safe. Now they did their dirt. We know this. But giving people an appreciation, they think different. Leaders think differently. The leader is on some, I can do anything, and believes it. Like not just some affirmation, just something that's symbolic. They really believe, no, not just me. If we get the right people in place and they got the right energy and they really believe and commit, we can do anything. Right? So the leader, I want people to understand the thinking of a leader is very much different from the thinking of a slave. And that's why it was prohibited for us to read. That's why it was prohibited for us to write. That's why we were turned away from any attempt to learn, because these white folk understood that once we had those tools, there's no turning back. Malcolm X said one of the worst things the white man did was let me know how to read and let me read his history books. And he's right, because and just for our family, so they don't take this the wrong way. This is not saying that if you don't have this degree or that degree, you're not important. We're talking about learning. We're talking about tools of education, literacy, political literacy. Not just I can read this book, but I can understand it. I can see the context of where they're going, how this applies to other things. I can apply this knowledge that's talking about engineering or physics in this way so that black people understand what I'm saying. I can use an analogy using animals or whatever so that my community knows what I'm saying. That's what I mean. You know, that type of intellectual flexibility. And that's why they didn't want us to read or write. And they were clear. They were so clear about that, Brother Rebel, that if a white man or woman was trying to teach an enslaved African to read or write, they punished them. See, people should be able to understand what that means. Why would they punish the white man, and one was supposed to be the king and queen? Because to make an example, like, we are not teaching them. Right? We're not teaching them anything that's going to help them overthrow us, right? And operate as leaders and kings and queens for themselves. We were supposed to be the servants and the entertainers of white folk for the rest of our days. That is a fact. That's what they wanted. The leaders come, and look, even in that situation, you would think, oh, black people ain't going to have no leaders. They're all enslaved. They can't read or write. How they going to be leaders? Well, wait a minute. There's always leaders. I don't know if God does it. I don't know what does it. But there's always people somewhere that's like, nah, man, the hell with that. You mean work for these people forever and never get paid? Nah, man. You got to be crazy. So Nat Turner arises. Now, yes, he was literate. It helps when you can understand, when you can decode language. And he was like, nah, I'm not going for that. And Denmark Vesey and Gabriel Prosser and so many people. Harriet Tubman was like, nah, I'll be damned if I'm staying here like this. Went back several times. Freed family members and personal friends. And we got people running the yap talking. Listen. Harriet freed people. Literally. Who are we freeing today? That's something I always look at. I say, well, Harriet literally free people. How can we free people today? Help them get out of jail, like the Jericho movement and all these other organizations, getting these political prisoners out of jail, changing laws. But we can also take the deaf, dumb, and blind, 85%ers. We can give them knowledge of self, self-love, a sense of where they come from and where they could go if they get it together. And we could free them. See, this is what I mean. We should always be thinking about, how is my work liberating people, right? So that we can get out of the roles that the white man has prescribed for us as just being servants and entertainers. And even if we're going to be servants and entertainers, how do we do that in a way and we give something back to the people? So you see, if you go through the contents, I cover a lot of things. Unity without uniformity. A bunch of things I think are critical for us to understand. Proper people placement. We got these organizations. We got people that are spokespeople that maybe should not be doing that. But maybe phenomenal writers. And maybe they should be working for our newspaper or newsletter. Right? We got a person over here that's quiet, introverted, but when they speak in meetings, they are so eloquent and articulate. They know our organization's policies inside out, upside down, and they are fearless. Maybe they should be in a leadership position. Maybe we're overlooking them just because they're not these very glamorous, out-in-your-face types, but they may have the perfect storm of elements that may make them a good leader. You know, when I was younger, I was introverted. I wasn't out in all the parties. Hey, look at me. I wasn't that type of person. I would go to the party and shrink in the back and just observe. But people in the community saw something. They said, man, when we asked you to read this Bible verse in church, you really read that well. And I said, okay. Yeah. You know what? Matter of fact, we want you to go up next Sunday for Youth Sunday. We want you to speak for 5 minutes. We want you to be on the usher board. We want you to be the president of this. We want you. So what happens is, if your community, if your village is healthy, what happens is the village will pull you in. Right? They'll say, the elders will say, man, sister, you are I always see you going back and forth. You're serious. You're focused. Do you know about this? They'll see something and they'll bring you in. I had the benefit coming up when I came up in Harlem where people brought me in. Sometimes people I didn't really know, but saw me all the time. My grandmother's going back and forth to my grandmother's house or whatever. Saw me. Oh, you go to school? Oh, okay. You seem like you're not there. You were in the little Catholic school. What's up? You know, I see you don't hang out with. Stay like that. Right? You know what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. And they pull you right in. Next thing you know, every time you walk by, now you stop and you're talking. Now when you're stopping, they say, you know what? You remind me of somebody. Like somebody may have been in the Nation of Islam. Why don't you read this? Might be an old God. And I'm reading Supreme Lessons. Right? Who's the original man? Who's the colored man? Who's the 5%? Who's the 10%? Who's the 85%? Right? So this is how it happens. And when the community and the village is healthy, they will help encourage leadership. They will help, why don't you come over here? Why don't you come check this out, this meeting? And they will get on your case. They will chastise you when they see that you got all of this, you was blessed with all this, and you farting it away. They not on that fuzzy, love got to be warm and fuzzy. Yeah. It will get in your face. I in the book, I have a chapter called, where is that at? Leaders are turtles, not hares. Because that tortoise and the hare thing from Brother Aesop, who was a black man, by the way, Aesop, who wrote those fables, and he talks about the rabbit was real sexy and glamorous, real fast, natural talent, arrogant, cocky, didn't feel he had to work. So he's running against the turtle. He's so he gets way ahead of the turtle and he just goes to sleep. This dude is so slow. I don't have to even work for him. He goes to sleep. And that little turtle, he just clunking along. No fanfare, no big entourage, not a big budget, not a lot of resources. Just clumps along and stays steady. And because of his discipline, focus, and consistency, he beats the rabbit. The rabbit wakes up, but now he's so far behind the turtle he can't catch up with all his speed. Right? So I'm trying to get people to see leadership, you're much more like the turtle than you are like the hare. There'll be times when you're on stage and you get accolades and you feeling like the king and queen of the world. There'll be times when you'll feel a lot of love and people will give you gifts and benefits because you're a leader. But most of the time, you're going to be the turtle. You're going to be doing that tedious, gradual, never stopping. While other people is bullshitting, you still on it. People counting you out because they don't see you, but you working. And eventually, you're going to cross that finish line. It may take you a long time, but you're going to cross it. So that's what we get into. I want people to have, who are not into leadership positions, to have a clear understanding of what it entails. So that, because a lot of people, if they knew what war was about, like really knew from somebody who was there, they wouldn't sign up for the army. I hate to say it like that, but some of them, because I used to be a draft counselor, and my job was to convince particular black folk not to join the army. This was around the Gulf War, I think about 1991, sometime around there. You know, and get a little sip.
Keep talking, brother.
Yes, sir. I got you. Just drink a little coffee.
Oh, I'm just gonna close this door.
I'd be a draft counselor, and these people, I would do these workshops all over Syracuse community. And you'd be surprised at how naive our young brothers were about the army. They thought, oh, they go there, they do some exercise, they do boot camp, and they get 3 meals a day, and it's going to be very regimented, it's going to be tough, but they're going to travel the world, going to get some money, going to meet exotic women, and they're going to come home. And I'm being dead honest. This is what a lot of the young brothers thought. So my job was to give these workshops and give them this information and school them. And even sometimes get people who were veterans to speak to them and tell them, yo, nah, bro. Nah, you could lose your legs, you could lose your limbs. And then when you come back here, it's hard to get the proper treatment you want. Right? It's hard to get the medication you need. There's racism, even in the U.S. Military branches to this day. Black people being hazed like, as if they were in a fraternity and being attacked. So it's important for people to know what to expect realistically before they make this, because they might make a whole, if they knew this is what it was, they wouldn't join the army. And it's the same thing with leadership or anything important. People have a right to know, what am I getting into, realistically, from somebody who could tell them. And I can't tell people much about running a brothel or sticking people up or doing backflips or soccer, but I can tell them about leadership, what it's like, what it takes to do it, to be successful. And then we get to basic stuff. And more theory. Putting people in the right position in your organization. Having a way to observe people, their work, their habits, their personality, and from that, so you know what, they would be good here. Or they would be good here. A lot of organizations got everything they need, but everybody's in the wrong position, bro. In the wrong place. You feel me? That's real talk. It's like chess, playing a game of chess. You got pawns are strong for certain things, not so good for certain things. Bishops, rooks, queen, king, knight. So it's like seeing your people and knowing where to position them on the board. You know? Also, we talk about, in terms of theory, the importance of morale. This is such an overlooked piece. This is overlooked every day by parents, by teachers, by professors, and by leaders. They think that you could just say, okay, read the chapter, give me this 20-page report by someone. No. You teaching and everybody's falling asleep. You talking and everybody's fidgeting. They looking over, you over here, they looking over there. Guess what? You're losing their attention. It's okay, because it happens. But right there it's telling you, oh, I got to stay plugged in. I have to raise morale. Morale is what you see when you see the Nation of Islam with them papers and selling them in all types of weather. Or the people in Jehovah's Witnesses every Saturday knocking on doors, ringing bells. They got that watchtower. Yeah. People wearing buttons for their black student union. People wearing shirts that represent the organization they in. People with logos, like beautiful logo, by the way, I wanted to tell you that you got there, brother, behind you. It's a beautiful logo. People wearing hats with that logo and jackets. That's high morale. These people love the organization. They going out telling people about what you do, where we going, what we doing next week. You should come to the meeting. You got everybody in that organization is going home telling their family members, calling people, you should come to the next meeting. This brother Rebel going to be there. These Atlanta brothers is bringing it. That's high morale. On the other hand, you got organizations, people like, you going to the meeting? Shit, man, whatever. You just tell me about it. Low morale. And when an organization has high morale, they can do anything. You got people that will work a full-time job, got kids, and they will still come to them meetings. Like they single and ain't got no responsibilities because the morale, the love, the loyalty, the respect is so high. So we talk about that and how to raise it, how to raise it. Sins of omission, simply things that, we talk about the church and the state talks a lot about the sins of commission. Thou shalt not murder. And they have laws for that, and they punish you for that. If you commit these acts, these things, these heinous, egregious acts, you get punished. But they don't talk about the sins of omission. And sometimes it's not the things you do that's wrong all the time. It's the things you fail to do that are right. That people don't talk about. Right? So, having basic courtesy. Saying thank you. Saying please. Saying do you need help? Those are all things people should do that sometimes they don't. And when you have those sins of omission adding up, it leads to low morale. People don't want to come to your meetings. People don't even want to hear your voice. People don't want to see you on the live. People don't want, whatever. Right? So, the sins of omission is about 9 of them that I go through. But these are things you want to watch out for. Not just the things you do that's wrong, the things you fail to do that are right. And when you see things not working in relationships, families, organizations, communities, I can guarantee you that there's a number of those sins of omission going on. People not feeling appreciated. People outline everything wrong but never talk about what's right. People not feeling supported. People doing everything themselves and not teaching other people to do it, so it could be a shared responsibility, not building capacity. Things of that nature. There's 9 of them we go through in the book. Now, then we start getting into not just the theory, but some things people could really do that are actionable things. And so vetting to me is very important. I call this chapter the sacred art of vetting. I think that when we look at enemies, or people not enemies, but just different people from black folk, we'll be real critical of them. Oh, we don't like this, we don't like that. But sometimes we need to be honest and admit some things they do well, straight up. And maybe we need to take notes and do similar things, but in our own way for our own reasons. So one thing you see, white folk don't just throw candidates out there, family. They vet them. Now, sometimes people like a Donald Trump can sneak through because they have a lot of money and power. But usually they vet people. They want to know that this person represents the interests of the Republican or Democratic or Green Party. They want to know that you're not going to go up there and embarrass the shit out of the organization. They want to know that you know the history of the organization. They want to know that when you're on camera, you're going to get up there, you're going to have sense enough to know what you talk about, what you shut your lips on, right? That you're not going to be an embarrassment. And they want to know that you have the ability to get certain things done in that position. So how do they know that? They vet. They call people up. They get information. They call friends, family, co-workers, people that they supposedly helped in life. And they ask them, this person says it did this. Is that true? Straight up. Were they effective? How did they make you feel? Did they get you involved? Were they stealing money? You know, they do all that. They do background checks. Right? You're not gonna get no security clearance in the military just because you say that you're a safe bet. They're gonna go check you out. Police records and even jobs, more and more, are checking your credit score. They're checking your criminal background or record. They're doing all these things to see if you would be a good fit for their business or organization. And it dawned on me that, you know what? For people to do all of that just to find out who should work as this position in their organization, that's telling me they take their organization seriously. Without saying a word, right? Wouldn't you take, damn, I gotta, this one time I had to go for damn near 3 interviews for a job. I said, damn, what is going on? They want to make sure that they getting the right person, somebody they're not going to have to fire a few months down the line. Yes. So they do all of this stuff, and they're not always right. The conclusion they come to may not always be right, but it helps them make a better decision. So, you know, I give people that what I call the rigid process of vetting in the book. Four steps, pretty much boom, 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 boom. How you get information, how you first decide, well, what is our organization about? What is our values? What positions do we need filled? What qualities do people need to have when they come in? Then they get information from people. They seek people out. We have this opening, blah, blah, blah. These are the things you need. Fill out this form on Google Forms or send us your resume, your references, and your receipts. Why? Because I could be like, oh, yeah, I started 18 schools, and I was a principal in 8 of them. I have 3 degrees. They were all PhDs. I was the top of my class. And I did this, right? And I'm not going to call names. See, it's bad, family. It's bad. It's bad. I know. So instead of going on people's word, because people will obviously paint themselves in the best light, we have to now, oh, okay, thank you. Send me your resume. This person has no experience in this. None of these things they did transfer to what we do. You go in that pile. Then they say, wow, this person has all experience in what we got. Very good. They were never in a supervisory position, but we can talk to them about that. So this way you can pinpoint strengths and weaknesses. Then you call their people. Right? You call people to find out, was this person really feeding people? Did they really lead this organization or initiative? Is it true they stole all the due money and moved to Hawaii? You know, they're going to find out. You need to know. You know, the receipts, you got to know. Now, because so much of leadership involves interacting with people, we talk about 5 challenging types of people that not so much outside your organization, but right in your organization, and ways to look at this, and maybe a few suggestions for how to engage them and deal with them. So without going through all of it, let's say you got one is the cynic. The cynic doesn't believe anything. The cynic is always saying, nah, we can't do that. Nah, man, that don't make sense. Come on, man. They fault find. They're good at that. In fact, one way you use a cynical person is to find out what you're doing wrong. Because that's all they're good for. They'll tell you everything wrong. With your outfit, with what you said, the color scheme on the logo. But problem with the cynic is their toxic energy as it relates to how they affect the members of the organization. While y'all up there talking about we're going to do A, B, and C, the cynic is in the corner saying, man, they know they ain't going to be doing it. That dude, first of all, he got a body odor, and secondly, he too short, and look at his feet, and see, that's the cynic is spreading poison. Yeah. I would much rather have a person that comes in and says nothing, right, than a person who's constantly telling me everything wrong and never has a, well, what do you suggest? Never. Just likes to tear stuff down. So with cynics, again, as we talk about in the book, you use them to find out what's wrong, because that they're good at. But anything else, you got to be careful. Like, I wouldn't want a strongly cynical person in any leadership position. They don't believe anything. All they are fault finders. And guess what? The way I process things, everyone's here for a reason. It's African cosmology. In African cosmology, the devil wasn't necessarily set up as, ooh, the devil. It was like, oh, there's night and there's day. Right? Horus comes and brings the night, the light, or Heru, and Set comes and takes it. He's playing his position. He's there for a reason. He's part of the universe. The white man comes and puts his own spin, but as African people, looking at our cosmology, we look at it as the cynic is there for a reason. Guess what? He gets on our nerves. He always comes with the pessimistic, but they play a position. Listen to some of what they're saying, because some of what they're saying is important. It's just that you have to guard the organization from their toxicity. Because by the time you talk to a cynic, brother, you be like, man, forget this, man. We ain't gonna never win. They'll have you so demoralized you don't want to do nothing.
Throw it on you.
That's right. And then you have the cheerleader. I'm just giving you two examples, family. Y'all got to buy this book. You ain't gonna get the book in this show.
I'm ordering mine tonight.
But we're gonna summarize some things. So one of these 5 challenging people, we said the cynic. Let's say the grandstander. Excuse me, the cheerleader. The cheerleader, just like a cheerleader at a football or basketball game. You imagine that they're very energetic and they're very supportive. But how I define it is these are people who are often attracted physically, sexually to a person in leadership. And they almost become, for lack of a better word, a political groupie. They come into the meeting not so much because they give a damn about what the organization is trying to do or their initiatives or the energy in the meetings. They come to that meeting to see sister or brother so-and-so. Straight like that. They're attracted. They want to get close. They like everything they got to say. They clap it. Ashe! Ashe! That's right. Black power, baby. That's what you tell them, baby. Right? But they not. The problem with the cheerleader, we want people like that are energetic and that give that energy we talked about, that morale. But the problem with the cheerleader is they're supportive, but they're not critically supportive. They're so caught up in this guy and his physicality, his voice, or the sister and her curves and complexion, that they're not really thinking about what this person's saying. They can't get over. They're stuck on this person, kind of like the groupie, and that's not good. So we talk about things you do to guard against, because these people are in your organization. This is the thing I wanted to say. All those people are in your organization. Just understand that. There's gonna be a cynic, the cheerleader, the sophomore who thinks they know everything. All of them are already in your organization. This is just to tell you. This is just what you got here. This is what you're working with, man. This is what we got to work with, what we got, right? But this is how you neutralize those people's weaknesses and their ability to mess up the organization and the movement, while also getting those people out of those archetypes. So now you're teaching the brother or the sister that's a cheerleader, yo, you can support, but you got to be critically supportive. And yo, if you're interested in so-and-so, that's your business, but we're not here for that in the meetings. And yo, so we talk about how to deal with that. I think we also do, in the book, a decent job of giving people a process for understanding what protocol is and the benefits of it and types of protocol you should have. You will never see any successful, strong, high morale institutional organization that doesn't have protocol ever in your life. You see an organization or an entity that has no protocol, a weak protocol, and I will show you a weak organization or institution off the bat. What do you do when there's a fire? Oh, you just gonna jump out the window. Okay, you in trouble. What we gonna do when so and so is not working, or we don't have who we call? What do we do if this happens? Who do we call an emergency? If someone has to go to ER, who's the next person in line to do this? Right? If something happens in emergency, we need to get that heat, and we need to strap up. Who do we call to for that, and where do we go? Most people haven't even sat down and thought of this. It doesn't make them dumb or unintelligent. It's just things we get so caught up in life that we forget we can't always be running. We got to sit down and think sometimes. We got to be like, yo, if something happened to me, how would people be able to contact the people that love me? Right? If somebody gets arrested, what is there a person that they have as an attorney, a friend that they would like to be called? Is there something they want in place? That those are all questions of protocol. As a longtime classroom teacher, I could tell you that schools don't have the luxury dealing with so many kids and so many adults who connected to so many parents and families. They don't have the luxury of just waiting for fires to happen and then figuring it out when the fire happens. Right? So they have fire drills to prepare you for what exits you leave out of, where you line up, how long you take to come back in, and when you come back in, what entrance do you come in? And what staircase do you use? That's how specific it is. Why? Because when a fire or emergency happens, people panic, brother. They panic. And smart, intelligent leadership people panic too. And they just running every which way. And when there's no order, and when you haven't practiced where to go, people die not from the fire, but from stampedes. You might, I don't know if you old enough to remember when P. Diddy and...
Yeah, I remember that.
What was his name? What was the brother's name? Heavy D.
Kent College?
Yes, sir. Right at City College.
City College.
And they had this big thing. They sold too many tickets. And it got crazy. And a brother I went to high school with was one of the 9 people that died in that. Wasn't no smoke. Wasn't no gun. Police shooting nobody. They had too many people. People panicked and tried to get out. And the door and were trampled by thousands of people running in the same direction to get out. Yeah. Where there is no order, where there is chaos, God is not present.
That's a fact. That just happened in another concert. One of these young brothers, I forgot his name, Travis or something. But he did a concert and maybe like 4 or 5 people died. And it was technically the same thing on a lesser scale, but it was the crushing of the crowd that did.
And see, stuff like that. And see, the thing with that, Brother Rebel, is that those things are preventable. Organizations, for me, we can't even call something an organization, an institution that doesn't have protocol. So we get into what protocol is, examples of it, and suggest certain types of protocol that all organizations should have. So you should have a protocol for emergencies. You should have a protocol for money. Who deals with the money? How is the money dispensed? You should have a protocol for making rules or changing rules in your organization. Now, if you're by formal organization, I mean like you have a certification from a government agency like a nonprofit or LLC, then those things are built in. You can't even have a nonprofit if you don't have certain protocol in place. Right or wrong? You gotta have protocol in place. The white man is not letting you operate nothing without no sense of direction. Okay, so who's your officers? Okay, who handles the minutes? Who does this? When is this done? How do you change laws? That's all protocol. And I'm going to suggest to black people who, let's say, don't even want to be a leader, still get this book and read it, because the same stuff that leaders should do, everybody should do. It'll make you a better parent, student, teacher, preacher, worker, whatever. If you understand how leaders think and move, and you think and move that way in your life, you're going to be 1,000,000,000 times better, more productive than you are right now. So the protocol is the key. The protocol is key. Parents should have protocol with their kids. What does that mean in the house? What's it look like? Bedtime, chores, who's responsible for what? Does mommy throw out the garbage? Does daddy throw out the garbage? Does the kid throw out the garbage? What days is this done? When so and so's late from work, who takes care of these? All of that is protocol on a basic level. We also talk about, as you see, how to evaluate your organization. So, Brother Rebel, if you leave it up to me, I would say Harlem Liberation School, we rock it. We got it going on. Stop playing. But we can't leave it up to me because I'm biased. And it's just one of me. We have to get a method, process of evaluating our leadership that's objective. I do this through a series of questions by topic. And through this questioning process, which the leadership should do of its organization and the general members should do of the organization. And there's a lot of questions, you know. By the time they answer all those questions, honestly, you will have a good sense of where the organization stands. And that's important. There are people here that fear criticism or critique. I'm going to say critique because they're associated with them being bad or stupid. And that's not what it is. Critique is a natural part of growing and learning and leadership for sure. So people who can't take critique definitely shouldn't be in leadership because you're going to be getting critiqued from the people in your organization, co-workers in the organization, people in the community. Everybody has their say and their opinion. You have to be able to deal. You have to know that comes with the territory, especially when the critiques are legitimate. So if we want to be champions, we don't want to be Ralph Sampson. Who's Ralph Sampson? Y'all watching? Who's Ralph Sampson? They like, who's Ralph Sampson?
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You don't. In other words, a person who had the potential to do so much in the NBA, he was killing them in college. He got an NBA and it was like,
yeah.
You want to be LeBron, Mike, and Kobe. You want to win. You want to be champions. You want the people around you to win with you. Right? So in order for that to happen, you have to, those people, they're not content with I scored 20 points and I had 3 assists and that's it. Jordan and Kobe both are said to have studied film after their good games and bad games. They watched. They wanted to see, what did I do wrong? I had so and so many turnovers. In what situations was I turning the ball over? What was happening? Oh, man. In the fourth quarter, my shots were off the mark because I'm fatigued in the fourth quarter. My legs, I didn't have no legs. So what do these people do? They go to the gym, my brother. They identify their weaknesses and they get strong. This is how Jordan has his now famous unstoppable, which Kobe completely took from him, fadeaway. Right? Now, if you look at him when he first came in the league, Jordan was just flying over cats crazy. Bang!
Yeah.
But he got older. His knees, he says, you know what, I want to play for a long time. I can't keep dunking and doing this. So he got his finesse game up. He gained weight. He got physical. They used to body him down in the middle. He got weight, so they couldn't just toss him around no more. He got a jump shot, so he didn't have to drive every time. And he became a great passer. He changed himself to make his team better. So that's what we're talking about. All those things, in other words, they're constantly critiquing themselves. They're constantly saying, okay, I'm good at speaking, I'm terrible at writing. I'm good at writing, I'm terrible at speaking. Or my people skills are lacking. Or I seem to lose people's attention when I talk. Or whatever it is. And they work on it. They work on it. And so people coming will say, wow, what a great so-and-so she is. And they may not know that so-and-so may have sucked at that very thing 2 years earlier. But they worked on it. And so what you're seeing is the benefit of time and effort. So this talks about how to evaluate the organization to make sure that we are in fact doing what we say and we are who we say. And then what I did was analogies of leadership. You know, a more fun, casual way to help people think about leadership by using these analogies. I'll give y'all 2. One is the Wizard of Oz, and one is the analogy, the superhero leadership as leaders, looking at leaders and comparing them to superheroes. And one is the Wizard of Oz, and that's a whole other thing. Y'all better get this book. Stop playing on the 22nd. Then we get into preferences versus prerequisites. We talked about that on the other show I was on right here on your channel. And you know, not to confuse the things that give me meaning and use that to say, if you don't change your name, your born name to African name like I did, if you don't speak 20 African languages like she does, if you don't wear all mud cloth like he does, you ain't down. Nah, man, we're not doing that. Because guess what? Before people knew about their African selves and identities, before people knew about changing their names, Nat Turner, did he change his name?
No.
Didn't Mark Vesey go to court and change his name? Did he have African clothes? No. But they had the mind of an African. That's what we want. Consciousness does not necessarily come in how you look or dress. And I want people to be real clear on that so that we don't open ourselves up to getting infiltrated, because we're so naive on that. We go for the person said the right language. They had the right clothes, right? They had the right swag, so-called swag.
The Unk shirt on.
The Onks, they got 18 different Adinkra symbol rings on. In the whole 9. Locks all the way down to the ankles. And so that's the infiltrator in your organization, but you didn't see it because you got caught up in the Willy Bobo instead of really checking out where their mind was at. So, you know, we kind of get into that. One of my favorite chapters, personally, is the Neocolonial Leadership. Because I think in addition to this book showing you what leadership is and how to move, it's also telling you what leadership is not and things you need to watch out for in our organizations, in our communities. Some people we think are working for us are working for our enemies. And we going out to their marches. We giving them money when Pookie gets shot in our family, and we need somebody to come. We paying Reverend Chicken Wing and Bishop Pork Chop to come out, and they costing $5,000 and $10,000 before they even talk to you on the phone.
Yeah.
And many of them are known, documented government agents.
Most.
So it's like, okay. Just because a person speaks well and rolled with this person or that person, we still got to keep an eye on them. Because we have to have a way of knowing what leadership we can trust, right? Versus the leadership we can't. This doesn't mean, by the way, that this person has to be Jesus Christ either, or Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It doesn't mean they need to be messiahs. They need to be perfect. They can levitate and shit and turn water into wine. No. But it means that they basically do what they say. They're consistent and their intentions are pure and righteous. And they work hard. You know? That's what you want to see. But some of our leaders, brother, and I'm talking about some of the people who so-called nationalists too, Pan-Africanists, wear all the memorabilia. Some of these people are working for our enemies. Straight like that. And so we need to be able to identify them.
It's either the enemy or themselves.
Yes, sir.
If they disingenuous, they'll just take all the accolades for themselves.
That's right.
I do believe if you even famous a little, you have a highly chance of being visited by the boys and them putting you onto a protocol they want you to do. So,
and the brother used the protocol word. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. I agree, man. And you know, there's certain things you should look for. I don't like to give these cookie cutter things because this book is not just a simple do this, don't do this. I'd rather teach people to think, and once they got that, they're good. They should be good. But some of the things to look for is, do you know how hard it is to get community space these days? To get a place to meet in that's affordable? Do you know how hard it is to be able to get media coverage every time you do an event? Do you know, with all these different people and organizations? But this organization always got media coverage. This organization don't have just one office. They may have 3, 4, 5. This organization never has a problem with money. Never seems to have a problem getting access to resources, ever. You start saying, wow, that's interesting. What's going on here? And I bet you, when you start to look further and further, you start seeing who funds them. Rule numero uno, whoever feeds you, leads you. So who's feeding this organization? And you don't see money coming from the community. You don't really see them. You know, you see the money's coming from, guess who? Right? So all of these things add up. And then you start saying, wow, this person looks like us, kind of dresses like us, and has our slang and swag, but they're working for the enemy. And they're here to placate us, to pacify us. And I know one such individual, right? He'll call you, they charge you, oh, it's going to be this amount of money before, he even talks to you and comes out to your city. A person who, by the way, is independently wealthy and doesn't need to do that, could go for free to your city, stay in a hotel of his choice, but he charges people up front. He's supposed to be working with the community to bang on, let's say, a movie company or a radio entity. And instead of banging on them, this mofo come out with a book deal. We might be looking face to face at a neocolonial leader. This is what I'm talking about. They benefit. Now they telling you they're supposed to be banging on the police. Now they telling you, well, we think the police should have more body cams, and we support sensitivity trainings, but you know what, you guys got to stop being out here with your pants sagging, and you guys, you need to be inside, and you guys, you need to when they start talking too nicely of the mayor, and they seem to be buddy with the police on the first name basis, having coffee and tea and God knows what else together on the regular. And you see that the work of this organization and its constitution and its bylaws is not being fulfilled. But they seem to be good. They never seem to be stressing anything. You might be looking at a neo-colonial leader. Very important chapter. Perhaps one of the most important chapters in the book.
I think so, too. I think I know what you're talking about. I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yes, sir. And there's quite a few that make nice livings for themselves, man. And that's why I said, I think the black community, if it loves itself, you don't tolerate anything. You speak up when you don't like certain things. You call people to attention about certain areas. You're able to say, look, I love you with this, but this has to be better. You see that in a relationship. Person that loves themselves at some point will say, listen, I don't appreciate this. I would like to see more of this. They have the right to raise those issues. And you have the right to raise your issues. But when people have low esteem, they will tolerate a lot of abuse. The leaders are supposed to be the people who are helping people liberate themselves from abuse and trauma, not giving more of it. Yeah. So, that's important. The neocolonial leaders, and sometime in the near future, depending on how things work, I think it's time for people to start naming those people. I think that the community is going to have to know this is the Black Wall of Fame, and this is the Black Hall of Shame. If your name go in that Hall of Shame, you don't get no money from us. We ain't buying none of your products. We not bringing you to speak and paying you for nothing. We not calling you when Pookie gets shot by the cops. Nothing. You're dried up and you're in exile. That's how it has to be. That's not on some being mean or evil with the community. That's on we need boundaries. We need protocol so that things operate effectively and so that people take us seriously. Right? You went to school, brother, when you was young. You know how it was with the bullies, man. The bullies, man, they smack you in your face, take it every day until, right? and you keep taking it and taking it, you know, you
So
setting the tone. You just gonna become their personal bank, their personal ATM.
Yep.
So that's how it has to be. So when the person getting bullied says, "Yo, you put your hand on me again, you're gonna lose it," and actually is prepared to do that, that don't make them mean and evil. That makes them intelligent. They say, "Nah, you ain't doing that no more. You got away them other times, but we got stuff in place that ain't happening no more." And that's what leadership is supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, when the little Arab dude in the deli is talking sexual to all the young sisters that come in the store, the leadership is, "Oh, word, we're going to address that." Now we're going to start doing report cards. We're going to start saying what organizations should do business in our community because they show respect and they give back, and what organizations and businesses are we shutting down in our community, black, white, and otherwise. Because that will send the message, whoa, this is a people that respects themselves. You can't just get away with anything. Right? Then we get into a bunch of stuff. Maintaining records for your organization. So like with you got your YouTube joint. So you have a built-in system of recording, documenting your different shows. Right? But your digital flyers, all of that, the numbers of the people you got on, all of that, you document so that one day you have a history. You know, people want to do what you did or continue it. You got the blueprint. Boom. This is our pictures with so-and-so. These are the different shows we did. These are the digital flyers. And right here is our whole vault, digital vault of all the shows. Every organization should think about preserving their history, because if you don't have that, you can't even prove you existed. You know, I had a professor who once asked a question philosophically. How would you prove that you exist? That's deep. I thought about that. How would I prove I existed? And I came up with, you got to preserve your history. You got to take pictures and, you know, record stuff and keep your special documents. Or else, when you die, if none of the people that rolled with you die too, it's like you didn't even exist. Nobody can prove you existed, right? So that's important, maintaining archives. We talk about poise under pressure, POP. Leaders, good, effective leaders. When everybody else is crying, bugging out, and getting upset, they're thinking, what's the problem here? How are we going to solve this? Who here has a skill or resource we need? And if not here, who do we call and what do we do? They're constantly thinking, and I use analogy, and I personally am not Christian, and certainly not in the traditional sense of how people mean that at all. But I take knowledge from everywhere. There's a parable in Christianity in the Bible where Jesus supposedly is in this boat with all the disciples, and out of nowhere a horrible storm comes, and the disciples, "Oh my God, Jesus!" bugging out, panicking, and they're like, "Yo, how can you just sleep? You want us to die?" And Jesus in the story, he wakes up and goes, "Man, I've been teaching y'all. Y'all have no faith. Y'all don't believe what I've been teaching. You haven't been paying attention to these lessons. All right." And he just says, "Peace, be still." And the storm stops. Now that sounds spooky to people, but that's like a leader. A leader, everybody's panicking and arguing with each other. And he said, "Whoa, that's not what we do. Let's get this boat, get them oars out, and let's get our behinds to land. Get your life jackets on and get ready to swim. Whatever. But they're going to have a plan. Don't get caught up in the drama. Let's solve it. Let's erase it, and let's get past it." Poise is that ability to be calm, confident, to solve the problem in intense pressure, and to do it without being abrasive. Right? So in other words, no. If the problem is somebody's here with a bunch of guns to get us, and we don't want them knowing we're here, we can't talk. We got to have nonverbal communication. So you'll be like, Everybody's, you be like, no.
Yes, sir.
They yelling and shit, telling the people where you are, right? So you the leaders ain't pointing to people. You go here, you go there, get the gat. Whatever we doing, right? That's what we mean. Poised. When people are hyperventilating, I'm joking.
The old school way.
My father was a New York City lifeguard. He told me that when they would save people, the people would be panicking so much they would almost be threatening to drown the lifeguard with them and stuff. So what the lifeguards to do is knock them out.
Yeah.
They had legal ability to so they could save their life. Then of course they made that illegal. But it's kind of like the leader has to be able to say, "Yo, chill. What you dramatizing about? That's not even a real issue. This is the issue. Let's deal with that." Poise under pressure. So if people read the book, they'll be able to see people in their household, in their school, in their community, who, with or without a title, are operating like leaders. And that's what we want to do too, to show people these are the things you look for when you're talking about leadership. These are things you work and aspire to be, you know. Because nobody is perfectly there with respect to all these different things. You know, and then we talk about emotional intelligence. Which that whole books have been written on that. That's a very important, that's something that I am really studying a lot about myself. The ability to be aware of your feelings, why you're feeling that way in the moment. Why is this person acting that way? What are they feeling in the moment? That's not easy, but as we master those things, we'll be more effective leaders. That's a fact, you know. And then we got what else?
Like Pop. I like Pop real quick. It's like the old saying, only diamonds love pressure. So if you're a leader, you'll learn to love pressure because you'll execute within it. So,
it's almost like I've heard a lot of celebrities say, you know, when I'm out in the regular world, you know, I'm like, yeah, I'm more introverted. I'm just like, oh, okay, I try to observe, I'm in the background. But when I get on stage, or when I get on the court, or when I get on the field, a place where other people are feeling great pressure because 80,000 people are watching, there's rules and whistles, and I feel completely, you know, at home. It's kind of like that. It's like I'm exactly where I want to be and need to be. And I like, just like you had said, I like the pressure of this. Because all it's going to do is make you learn, or ruin you, demoralize you. It's going to make you learn how to solve problems real quick.
yeah.
You know? I talk about COINTELPRO too, Brother Rebel, but not the way people usually do. Usually we like, oh, COINTELPRO came and they did this, and it scares our people half to death. They don't even want to join the organization. And they're like, oh my God, they did that to Stokely or Kwame. They did that to Fred Hampton. They did that to Malcolm. Oh man, I don't want to get involved with that. You know, I like to go shopping and hang out a little bit and maybe go to some meetings. I don't want to get involved with all that. You know, so what this does, I forgot where I was, brother.
The COINTELPRO.
Thank you. It's teaching COINTELPRO from a clinical point of view, not from the boogeyman, ooh, COINTELPRO. It's teaching them more like, yo, this is what these crackers did, and this is why they did it. And this is the effect it had, and these were the strategies and tactics. Okay, so what do we learn from that? How do we move based on that? You know, so for instance, they had these 5 different strategies for disrupting and destroying the credibility of our movements and organizations. 5 strategies. And so I go through those 5, I go through the memo, those 5 strategies, and what does that strategy tell you? So if they're so preoccupied with, don't let the youth get attracted to these organizations. Don't let them recruit the youth. Guess what you do? Recruit the youth.
Exactly.
Recruit the youth. It's so threatening to them because they know when an organization ain't just a bunch of old fuddy-duddies, but they got pipelines with young people, this organization has legs. It has staying power. Because the youth are going to be the ones with the energy to carry all this out into the future. So it threatens them. Do that. Recruit the youth. Always, no matter what you do, have something connected to youth. Somehow, some way. Or when it talks about prevent coalitions of black nationalist hate groups, create coalitions of black groups and alliances. It's just common sense. What they find threatening and what they're working so hard, spending so much money to prevent, gives you an indication to some of the things you need to be doing. When you got coalitions, what happens? You share resources. People are not hoarding everything. You get share, right? So people with less budget are still able to do programming and do things because the people with more budget are sharing. People with no community space now have access to community space because people are sharing. People who have resources and contacts with politicians or people with money are sharing. So everyone benefits because we're outnumbered and outgunned. So we got to work together. It scares them to death. You do that. You know, you make sure you have alliances. And I'll tell you this that I found very interesting. Twice, I tried to form an alliance of black organizations in Harlem. And twice, one person responded.
Wow.
And that person died. Because that person was overworked. Because that person showed up to everything and tried to be everywhere. See, this is what happens. We don't have alliances. One person feel, they're trying to do the best they can. They get burned out. You got people that have high-level cancer, people that have high-level disease, hypertension, that's doing all this work, and they are one meeting away from death, family. One meeting away. Everybody will be there. If oh God, we miss him or her. And not one of them would think, what could I have done to have made it a little easier? They didn't have to do everything. So I found it ironic that the one brother that reached back out to me both times is the brother that died. Very interesting. And then we talk about the day. So there's different things that they did with COINTELPRO. We need to flip that. We need to invert it. These the messiahs. They wanted to destroy the Messiah, prevent the rise of a Messiah. We talk about that. All of those 5 things they outlined. Then we talk about the danger of hyper-localized organizing. And really all that means is that obviously you're supposed to protest and organize and build right where you live, in your community with your peoples there. But you can't get so caught up in what you're doing in your organization with your people in your town that you forget that white supremacy doesn't just operate in your city. And black people ain't just getting killed and destroyed where you live. They're getting killed and destroyed everywhere in this country and all around the world. So how do we connect what we're doing locally to what's happening in neighboring states or in another region of the country? Or if we serious like the Panthers in the Nation of Islam, around the world got branches, or Garvey, God knows, Garvey had branches in South America, Central America. You see? Like that type of thinking. Hyper-localized organizing happens when people's all about, it's all about New York. It's all about New York. And they don't know a damn thing about what's going on in Jersey, Delaware, Virginia, Florida, nowhere. They're all about New York. They're too narrow. They're too self-absorbed. And that's not a good thing as leaders. We have to, try as best we can to build with people around the country. So that's really what it is, man. In terms of the details, bro, the book is going to be, in terms of not counting like the index and about the author, it's going to be about 310 pages, somewhere around there. It's 22 chapters. It's in large print, which in publishing world, you're really not supposed to have font that's really big. It's supposed to be like maybe 10 to 12 point font. Mine is bigger than that. It's large print because I wear reading glasses, and I am more sensitive now to the fact that some of our people need reading glasses when they read a book. They can't read that little bitty 10 point, you know what I'm saying? So that's why the release date is in a few days, 2/22/22, and the book is going to be available on Amazon. That's right. That's a powerful number, family. If y'all know about the power of the numbers, that 2/22/22. That's serious. That 22 is the number of the master builders right there. That's an important number. And it's going to be available on Amazon.com and wherever books are sold. So if you're at a public library, you can go to your library and be like, yo, I want to get this book, Leadership, blah, 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 by TYEHIMBA. And there's a process by which you can have them order the book. If you're in a Barnes and Nobles, a bookstore, you can do the same thing. Or you can simply go right to Amazon.com starting on the 22nd and get the book yourself directly from them. I would say people, particularly people who are in New York, but I guess no, it doesn't matter where you are. Some people want me to sign their book. So to do that, I would have to order the book to me from the warehouse, sign it, and then send it to the person. So those people who want that type of situation would probably have to hit me up my email, and we'll arrange that. My email is right there, truself143@gmail.com. And then probably the other thing I would say is that I would like people to join my email list. If y'all have a pen, hopefully you can copy it down on the bottom there. This will get you access to my free monthly newsletter, which I'm starting back up because I went on hiatus for 5-6 months, to do this book. But you can join my email list. You get updates on stuff. Sometimes I'll have certain items discounted. But you can stay in touch with what I'm doing and news about what people are doing all around the world and the country for our people. Tips and suggestions for leadership and things of that nature. And I would also like to say, though, for those of you who do buy the book, thank you in advance. But also, please do me the favor of writing a review. If you buy it from Amazon, please go back to Amazon and write, when you read through it, write an honest review. I'm not telling you what to say. If you don't like anything, it sucks, say that. But write those reviews are very important to all authors. They help Amazon know how the book is doing. It gives people who haven't read the book, who think about buying it, a reason why they might want to buy it. It's very important. And all those statistics create algorithms. So that's important that we try to, you can help by definitely reviewing the book. And then other than that, good brother, that's basically what I got. That's basically what the book is about. And man, I hope that people really support it. I'm gonna send you right now I'm gonna send you a digital copy and let you check it out.
Exclusive. Reb get it first.
No.
Now I just want to thank you, brother, for even recognizing this problem. Because everybody, we grow up the same way. We see Malcolm, we see Khaled, we see Elijah, we just see the leaders, and some people gravitate toward that position. Or like you said earlier, they might be in it without them even knowing. But my point is, what's the real layers of the logic of a leader? And people really just think, yo, I might be the smartest one in the room, so I guess I'm the leader. But if we put more people in the room, can you decipher, a larger scale of vibration, of energy? How much can you see? Can you recognize all the traits if I put 50 people in the room, other than 3? So I love this idea, this book. I'm definitely going to read it. I'm going to start tonight as soon as my wife get home. We read together. So, one page. That's how I work up. Mm-hmm. So, just going through reading. But I think this book is overdue to the ingredients of leadership. Because you could just listen to Garvey or anybody's, verbiage, but do you really sit down and piece together the inklings of that power you witnessing? there's layers to this. You're going to be this thick when you finish. And you're going to have so many abilities and so much visual of potential. I guess I could say that. But I love the idea. I'm going to read the book fast. I'm going to leave my review. But I truly do want to thank you for recognizing we needed this book. Because if you look around today, this one I don't really look around today. Because I'm going to just pull my gun out and just spray, right? It's so inaccurate from where we come from. So I tell people, I think we're Garvey's grandsons, right? So we're going to be blamed for their failure. Because we're the only ones who got the lessons. And everybody a little grown know what I'm talking about. Of course, there's youngins who come out the womb connected, but that last generation, the last two generations before this internet real push, we was at the feet of the masters. So I think it's incumbent that we realize we the last teachers left that could actually connect the historical pattern of learning. I think it's all on us. If you over 28, I'm talking to you, or 32, I'm talking to you. If you just
millennials,
it's your job to read this book and become the leader and pass on leadership qualities, or even give the book to a leader that you might be under, or you know, somebody in your crew. It doesn't matter who it is, but the potential energy is what we're talking about.
Thank you, brother. I just wanted one last thing. I wanted to say to people that leadership is not elitist. I think people sometimes misconstrue my message here, because I seem to be saying, oh, you got to do this and this and this and this and this. So it's like, oh, he's elitist. Only a very special group. Yes and no. Anyone could be a leader. It's not a natural, you're born to be. But here's the thing. To be an effective leader that wins campaigns and makes people's lives better and conditions better, for real, there are certain things you got to be prepared to do. There are certain things you have to sacrifice.
Yes, sir.
Right? You got to work really hard. You got to study hard. You got to be on your top of your game. You can't have people asking you a basic thing about the end. You're like, what's white supremacy? I don't know. Like, what? What are you talking about? No. You know, or whatever. What's nationalism? What's like this stuff you got to know. You have to lead by example. So you got to be always on your game. And it's not that leadership can only be done by certain people, but it's that only a small group of people are willing to do all it takes to be at that level of leadership. And, you know, it's like anything. You watch somebody playing the violin, like, oh, my God, she's so good. So you go pick up a violin, and you be like, because they made it look so easy that you thought anybody could just do that. And then you realize, then you realize that person had been playing that violin for 40 years. So what you're seeing is not just they came out the womb knowing it, but they worked on it. And that's the thing that I think people need to understand. You can do this, but you got to really love black people. You got to be willing to serve them at the highest level. You don't give people you love to about it's dinner time and you got resources, a fridge full. You be like, here's 2 peanuts and half a pig in a blanket. What? You love people, you give them the what? The best that you can give. The best you can give. Somebody else may be able to give them more, but you give them the best you got. And we have people who are not giving their all. You got to give your all. So leadership is not elitist, but it's such a small group, relatively speaking. Out of 55 million black people in the United States, how many leaders are there, right? A much smaller number. It's because when people peer behind that curtain and they see, wait a minute, Timberland and P. Diddy and Kanye West spend 16 to 18 hours in a studio? I ain't trying to do that. Chris Brown spends 5 hours a day dancing. Oh, I ain't trying to do that. Beyonce's been all her life dancing and singing for hours and exercising it. Oh, I ain't trying. See, that's the thing. If people can get over that, can say, yo, I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to admit my faults and get better in them. I'm willing to humble myself and ask people who know more and have done more questions. You're going to, and the universal law says, if you do something consistently over time with good intention and you hook yourself up to people who know more, have done more, you have to be good.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I want to get to people. Like, don't look at leadership like it's, oh, you can't do it. But don't come in here with the BS either. Because when we go out and support white people stuff, we support it full with everything we got.
All the might.
Black people go into Islam and they more Arabic than the Arabs.
Yeah.
we watch kung fu movies. We coming out with the Chinese Bruce Lee shoes, and we more Chinese than the Chinese people. So what we saying is, if you working for black people, work for them. Give your best and give your all, and stop bullshitting. Because we are amongst the most oppressed people on this planet. We're getting killed every day. It's becoming ridiculous, bro. Like, you can't keep up. And so anyone leading us had better damn well be serious and be somebody we can count on. Don't gotta like them. I don't even care if I like them. But it's helpful when you like them. But definitely be somebody you can count on. That's serious. That, you know, their knees don't shake in the face of the enemy. They're not scared of the enemy. They're not scared of their own people. That's important. And we got millions of people like that. But I think oftentimes they're not in the environments conducive to bringing out their leadership. You know? So a lot of us are leaders, but we leading at you know, raising money for the blunt. We lead with that. We the person that gets the people together and say, yo, what you got? What you got on it? what you got on them trees, brother? Okay, let's make the call. Who's your boy? Okay, cool. We lead that.
Yeah.
We lead who's going out to what club. We figure out, we call all the people together for the boys or ladies night out. We figured out the place. We figured out the money, the transportation. We lead with that. Why can't we lead with real organizing in ways that help people for real? It's the same thing.
Leadership philosophy is I think just the philosophy of leadership should be like a class. Maybe, you know, I know we want our own black schools, but it should just be a class in school. So
Yes,
a male can learn how to lead a woman, just understanding the ingredients of leadership. And maybe and at the same time, if you're not a leader, you learn how to follow a leader. Because I don't look at followers and none of that sin. I think all followers in the real term is a smaller leader.
Yep, and you can't be a leader if you don't have anybody. Now, remember we said in the beginning, some type of group of people. It could just be your kids, your class, your community, but it got to be some people, right? You're not just leading yourself. So, yeah. And I want to say, for women, this is very important. You are the majority of our population, sisters. Majority of the population. You're typically the ones that are raising the children. You're typically in situations where, unfortunately, the family divided and maybe the father left or whatever. You're typically the custodial parents. You're typically the largest population in our churches, our other places of worship, in our organizations. That's just what it is. You're also that part of our species that reproduces us. So there's a special mandate for you all to really consider, you know, read the book, and if you find something in it that's good and you're with a guy who's in leadership or whatever, share it with him. Have him look at some of it. And more importantly, look at it yourself. Because if you're the majority of our population, you're the one that reproduces our population, teaches most of our population, you need to be in leadership. And you need to know what that means. You know, and we've had plenty of sisters that, as you know, rendered valuable warrior leadership service. And remember that leadership manifests itself in a million different ways. You could be a coach of a team. You could create an after-school curriculum. You could write curriculum, create an independent school like the Barudis. You could say, man, I got some information. And you could have a YouTube channel like Brother Rebel and the brothers in ATL. So there's different ways to have leadership. You could start an organization. You could see a need. What leaders typically do is they see a need that's not getting met. And they get tired. They say, man, I'm tired of seeing these clowns on YouTube, man. So some brothers get together in ATL and create Rebel Vision Television. Man, we're gonna meet this need.
Yes, sir.
Right? That's what happens. And I also want to say, there's nothing wrong with aspiring to leadership. We're saying, for instance, I want to be a leader one day. That's great. But also know, sometimes some of our greatest leaders were people who didn't even necessarily set out to be in leadership, but they're community anointed, not self-appointed. In other words, the community came and said, man, Rebel, I noticed that you got some flow, and you be in the studio, and you be hanging out with certain political cats, you know the lingo, you got the youthful swagger. Man, you should, right? And they be like, did you ever think about? And you're like, not really. Sometimes leaders are anti-heroes. If you watch comic books, these are the people that have the skill set to fight and this and that. They're fearless, but they're not, whatever. I'm not interested in that. And then somebody talks to them or something happens to them and they get involved. So just know you don't always have to be the big person to be a leader. You could be real quiet, introverted. You could be a geek. You could be you like to be with books. A scented candle and some books is for you a date. And you could be a leader. So it's not about you got to be the person that's talking all the time. You don't have to do that. So I just want to make that clear that I want that our sisters should step up in leadership roles. Our youth and children should step up in leadership roles. Our elders, who many times are retired and they're dismissed as being old and irrelevant, but they got all this useful information and experience, definitely need to step up in leadership. If they don't do nothing other than just say, I'm going to identify people in my city like a rebel. And the brothers that you roll with on the channel,
yes, sir.
And let's say this is like a 60, 70, 80-year-old brother or sister that's been in the movement. I say, I'm going to bring these people under my wing. I'm going to be like a jegna to them. Even if you do that, but we need all of these elements involved in leadership because they bring different perspectives. Women bring a certain perspective we need. The brothers do. The children do. And the elders. And then our community will heal. The village will work as one again.
Explain Jegna before we get out of here.
Yes, sir. Jegna is a term that I think Wade Nobles, the great black psychologist, came up with. And he basically said that we don't like the word mentor because mentor comes from a Greek. Oh, what was it? I think it was, I don't know if it was Plato.
Just some Greek dogma.
In one of his plays, but mentor was the guy that had this man servant. The Greeks, how the Greeks was real, but had a man servant, little boy that traveled with him, and they were, dealing with some sexual stuff. So Wade Noble said, let's take that off the table and let's say Jegna. That comes from more of the ancient Ethiopian context, which basically means a distinguished elder in the village who distinguished themselves in terms of being fearless with the enemy, being a great fighter, being intelligent, a scholar, that loved the community and that served their community. Particularly youth, but served the community with distinguished service. So if it was like the military for our nation, they would get the medal for, distinguished service, lifetime achievement. Those are your Jegnas. They're elders. And they are special elders. They're not elders just because they got old. They're elders because they're at an age and they have a record of service for their people, a distinguished record of service.
Well, you are my Jegna.
Oh, man. Thank you, good brother.
I will admit that. And I will start being a true student because I know OBASI and everybody, they a little more closer to you and what you've been doing. But I'm a real student, so I'm about to just sit down by the feet, get comfortable.
Let's do it, brother.
Right.
We could do weekly, brother. We could do weekly calls.
Oh, nice.
No problem. Let's do it.
Oh, nice.
Cost you nothing but time.
My man. Any last words?
I'm glad to be back on the platform. I love the work that Rebel Vision Television is doing, and keep connected and building those bridges in the community, man. And I like how you have different types of people from different walks of life and different generational aspects, so we can bring the elders with the young people. I love the work you guys are doing, and I'm grateful to be on the show. And just a reminder, family, I do have this book coming out on the 22nd of February.
Yes,
2/22/22. Leadership. Ethics. Yes, sir. That's right. Leadership, ethics, and practice. It's not. I don't think it's like it's going to be the best book. No, it's not about being the best book. But if you want to be an effective leader that doesn't get caught up in no foolishness, you got a good, clear understanding of what it takes, and you got some specific directions for certain things, I think you will love the book. And if you're a leader already and you want to see where you stand, some things you need to brush up on, I think it'll be a good book. You know?
Nah, much respect, brother. You are appreciated.
I appreciate your appreciation, brother, and you appreciate it as well. I'm going to definitely make sure that I help in the way I can to share your and those watching, please don't be passive. If you like what the content that the brother and the other brothers he worked with are providing you, share the link. It doesn't take much time to get on your computer and share the link. If you like it,
subscribe, baby.
Huh?
I said like, share, and subscribe. We hardly ever say it. You know.
Yeah. You should start telling people, bro, because sometimes people need that nudge. One of the best practices of the YouTube channels is always have a little piece in the beginning or the middle or the end where you say, don't forget, if you like what we're doing, like, share, subscribe. You got to tell our people, because we've been made we've been
docile. We've been made docile,
Yeah. So, and you deserve that, especially when you're doing a valuable work. You should never have no problem. Say, yo, man, I'm busting my whatever to bring this to you. You're sacrificing time. I see sometimes you're looking over there. You got a life. You got other things going on that you could be doing.
There's a few things working at once.
So, yeah, you got the right to say, yo, man, support me. I ain't doing this on no playful things. It's real.
No doubt. Yo, support Rebel Vision Television. If you want some of the gear we got, rebelvision.com. We got so many other things, but hit me on Rebel Vision Television and rebelvision.com if you want to support us and with the clothes or the work that we putting out, because we're going to have way more powerful people come on the show that really, really want your liberation and really haven't, and they put their life on it. So
that's right.
We have to respect the blood of the connection to the true ancestors.
That's right.
Which is million years old game, people. And we trying to keep it until we get the earth back. So let's recognize who's who.
Get the earth back. I like that.
Brother RJ, salute.
Salute to you, brother. Thank you so much for the work you're doing, man.
Anytime.
Yo, I support. I don't know about y'all.
I know.
But I don't just like to watch the white man's television. I like to curl up with my queen and turn on this internet and watch Rebel Vision Television on YouTube. And I think you should check it out too. Peace.
You heard it first from the God. Us. Peace to the family.
Peace.
RJ, you the man, baby.
Trying to be like you, brother. I'm a reflection of you.
No question.
It's an older reflection.
I totally agree. Tell your community, Rebel Vision Television and everybody here said thank you for letting us take her king from her for a few hours and let us pick your brain. So tell her we appreciate her for that too.
Oh, okay.
I like what they're doing.
So she likes what you guys are doing. So she said salute. She likes what y'all are doing.
Like I said, the work ain't done, and we're going to keep doing it.
That's nice. Peace, brother. Thank you. I'm gonna go eat this food, man.
Yeah, I know. I heard about it. I was
Peace
gonna
out,
wait to
brother.
show it, but it's all good.
Yes, sir.
Ravon, let's get this. Spell your name for people.
Oh, it's AGYEI, and it's TYEHIMBA is TYEHIMBA.
Ajay TYEHIMBA. Get it right. Put it in your blood. All right, family.
Peace. Yes, sir.
I got the mind of a king, should really protect them. Everybody talking, but rebel really the next one. I got the mind of a king, spread to never take this. Slavery, fake hip-hop, you dead if you were racist. I got the mind of a king, you could never replace this. Blood from the mud, no love, so I'ma say I got the mind of a king, I know where I am from now. I'ma wake 'em up, you keep 'em sleep, it's up to me. I got the mind of a king.